there, and welcome to another episode of AKC's Home is Where the Dog Is. I'm Jessica, and our canine stars today are Stella the Norwegian Buhund and Ruby the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. Today, you're going to learn all about feeding your pup. How much and how often to feed your dog is directly related to its health. Your dog can suffer from vitamin nutritional deficiencies if they're not fed enough food or too much food. Here with us today to discuss the right way to feed your dog is Dr. Jerry Klein, Chief Veterinary Officer of the American Kennel Club. Hi, Dr. Klein. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, can you explain what kind of food and water bowls dog owners should be using?
Sure, Jessica. There's like plastic bowls, which are really common and they're affordable, they're colorful. Most people have them at one time, and they're great in many ways, except that dogs can chew them and put cracks in them. Bacteria can lodge in them. And some dogs do get an allergic dermatitis, which is like a rash around the mouths. And sometimes it's just because of the type of bowl that causes that. Ceramic bowls are usually very good. They're glazed, so they're easy to clean. The problem with them is they can chip and crack, and if they do, you have to replace them because they can cut a dog's tongue or mouth, and we don't want that. Probably the best ones are the stainless steel bowls. They may not be quite as stylish, but they're easy to clean, they're very hygienic, and they're the least reactive to a dog's skin. So I think that given a choice, stainless steel bowls would probably be the best. There's also have elevated bowls as well, which might be good for dogs, large dogs, and the dogs that eat very fast. They swallow less air that way, and dogs that have a lot of gas or are flatulent, that might be a better choice. For dogs that eat too fast, there's something called a slow feed bowls, which makes the dog kind of go in after the food and takes a little longer for them to eat. So that was another alternative as well. Every dog is different, and you can certainly figure out what's best for your own dog. Water bowls should be kept close to a dog food bowls, and ideally they should be put in an area that's not carpeted and easy to clean. Keeps it much more hygienic. Dogs like their own little areas to eat, and I think that their own little dining room. And so give them an area where they can be by themselves and easy to have everything together.
That's really great information to know. We now know what kind of food bowl is good for the dog and our lifestyle. Now, how much food should we be feeding our dogs?
Well, puppies need more calories and nutrients, and they should be fed about 3 to 4 times a day. If your dog is under 7 months of age, you should probably give them food specifically formulated for puppies. If you have a bigger breed, you may need to have a puppy food until about a year of age. Adult dogs should be fed according to their size, energy requirements, and should generally be fed about 1 to 2 meals per day. Senior dogs can have specific requirements, such as like diabetes or kidney issues, and they may have different nutritional needs. It's also important to set very regular meal times. Dogs like consistencies. An irregular schedule can affect their GI tract and cause digestive disorders, and digestive problems can usually be improved with the change in their diet.
And how does a time zone change affect a dog's meal time?
Well, I think it depends on the dog and the time zone. If it's just an hour, and most dogs are going to be okay. If you're going cross country, they don't adapt that well. Do it gradually. Young puppies especially need to have more consistency. So try to do a gradual change.
So what if my dog seems hungry all the time?
Well, there's that saying, some dogs eat to live, other ones live to eat. So I think that certain breeds, certain dogs have just a tendency to want to eat all the time. Your job is to try to figure out the best meal by talking to your veterinarian, the responsible breeder, and then looking at the type of food best suited for your dog.
So now we know what kind of food bowls and water bowls to use for our dogs. How do we determine how much we should be feeding our dogs? How do we decide that?
It's always good to use a measuring cup, like an 8-ounce cup, because that way you have consistency and you know for sure. Usually most dogs, you can follow the package directions or talk to your veterinarian. About a 20-pound dog may need like a cup of food. Larger dogs may need more.
So we all know that dogs love treats. How do we decide what kind of treats to feed our dogs, how much?
Well, everyone loves treats, and that's part of the problem. People love snacks as well. We have to be very careful that it doesn't cause obesity or cause digestive problems. There are certain foods you should not feed, but ideally try to feed a healthier snack, such as carrots, string beans, things like that.
So we know our dog loves table food, so what about people food? What should we know about that?
Well, resist certain foods, you have to be careful because it could be dangerous and they don't know it, of course. Certain foods are very fatty, pork and certain cheeses maybe, but especially things like chocolates, raisins, grapes, it can be toxic to dogs, so you have to be very careful. Onions and garlic as well.
So what should I do if my dog growls when I pick up their food bowl?
Well, that's an undesirable kind of a thing. It's instinctual, and not all dogs do it, but you don't want that to happen. You have to kind of train them when they're puppies. By putting a small treat in their food bowl, putting something in rather than taking away, it resists the urge for them to be guarding the area. But generally speaking, most dogs, if you leave them alone and don't bother them, I think that that's usually the best thing to do. But you can train them to not do that. Dogs that growl are very protective of food. You have to be careful, especially if there's children in the house, especially if it's not children from that home. If you have friends or family coming over to visit and other children that the dog might not know, you should make sure the dog is left alone when they eat because incidents can happen and the dog doesn't just trying to be protective. So it's a good idea to always give a dog space and privacy when they're eating. You probably shouldn't leave the food out all day. If a dog doesn't eat their food like within 20 minutes, it's a good idea to pick it up for hygiene, but also develop better dietary habits. That way you can tell if their dogs are eating that meal or not. It gives you a better idea to tell your vet if your dog is sick. So you might pick up certain things by knowing if your dog is eating or not than if you leave the food out all day.
So let's summarize what we learned today. Find the right amount of food and frequency of meals according to your dog's age and activity level. Ask your veterinarian for more information. Plastic bowls are not good for some dogs. Ceramic bowls can be colorful but less durable than stainless steel bowls. Find an easy-to-clean area to place food and water bowls. Finally, let your dog eat in peace to avoid food guarding. Thank you so much to our canine stars Stella and Ruby for joining us on today's segment. A special thank you to Dr. Jerry Klein for offering his professional insight and teaching us about the right way to feed our dogs. Don't forget to subscribe to American Kennel Club's YouTube channel for more happy, healthy dog tips. We'll see you next time on Home is Where the Dog Is, where we will be discussing dangerous household foods to keep away from your dog.